I'm about to burp real quick.
It's a great best start to the podcast right there.
That's gonna be part of that was.
I was gonna say I was gonna open up a beer, but I see you're recording now, so
no, go ahead, do it now before we actually begin, because all this is getting cut out.
None of this is cut.
I'm not drinking it yet.
Not for the uncut version. Welcome back to the Monster Trio podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Twan.
And I'm Dominique. And in this week's episode, guys, we are getting back into our manga reviews. For those of you who have been listening, you know our manga reviews consist of One Piece, Black Clover, and My Hero Academia. Not necessarily in that order. We like to kind of go over what may have been the best chapter of the week out of the three and go from there. I think we are all in agreement this week that we're going to start with One Piece. It was really good this week. One Piece has consistently been hitting, which we're all really happy about, especially with Wano being such a huge arc and so much going on here. And since it's been a while since we talked, we're not going to necessarily just talk about the latest chapter release, which is chapter 1008. We're also going to go over what we last talked about, which was, I think, back since Kaido's hybrid form was silhouetted, and then that was like the last we kind of saw. So, yeah, guys, I think this week, so over the last few weeks, we saw Chopper get the antidote.
Yes.
We saw him big smack the heck out of Queen, which was pretty cool, with Marco's help, obviously. We've seen Marco manhandle both Queen and King. So quite clearly, I understand why they thought Marco could have taken over the Whitebeard Pirates and just been the captain, because he does show to be really, really capable, really strong pirate, which is awesome. Just because I think we all like Marco here. He's not anyone's favorite, but we like him.
He definitely has like one of the best zone fruits of anyone we've met.
He has the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is a really cool one. I would not choose it for my devil fruit. That is a little tease of if you listen to what devil fruits we choose.
Gosh.
I chose the fantastic fruit, which I am not going to spoil. You don't have to listen to that podcast in order to understand what fruit I would choose. But the Phoenix is one of the best fruits, and man, Marco, oh no, with Chopper after making the antidote, and then everybody calling him a reindeer dog, and then he goes in the monster form and just smacks everybody around, and everybody's like, oh, who called him?
So I just went back and looked at the last chapter, like the last page of the last chapter, no, it's not even the last page, it's like third to last. But seeing Chopper smack Queen and then seeing everyone like do like the face to the hand, the hand to the face, it's like, so oh my gosh, it's hilarious. And I'm really upset that I didn't recognize that last time, but that was a great moment.
I've been loving like all the like the facial reactions, like everybody's doing like the ugly face, like when Luffy got caught and like the newsletters go out and like they had like the ugly like double chin face going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like in all those face reaction, but the hand over the face is just like, oops, my bad.
Oh man, and with that, we also everyone got to see Prime Hyogoro of the Flower. Granted, he's old as crap now, but he was infected with the Oni curse, essentially, that Queen had, and it brought out his energy, his will to live, brought out his prime self. And Hyogoro of the Flower is OP as hell. Like he was and like without a devil fruit or anything, that man was powerful. Took out all the samurai with like one move. And so that was really awesome to see. We still see Apu up and running as if nothing ever happened to him. That's just like really intriguing. He must be as durable as a zone, as many attacks as he's taken and still running around. But we got to see some of that go down. And then right before he told his men to off him, Chopper came out with the cure, cured everyone, which was, and Queen was talking shit to all the beast pirates, and they were like, he was like, the factory's gone. None of you are gonna get turned into to headliners or gifters because because we don't have the devil fruits anymore. The best thing you can do for us now is just to turn into demons and die for us. And now that Chopper was cured, that's showing us more pirates that are going to be turned into the alliance side of everything, which is just again turning over those black pieces to white pieces on the go board.
I enjoyed like rereading that part, and like they're like, oh yeah, they actually like Vegapunk extracted, like Momonosuke ate the fruit that he extracted from Kaido.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Kaido is in Momonosuke, which is weird, and is a failure.
Yeah, well, we don't know if it was actually I think that Vegapunk told the government it was a failure because they told him to bring the devil fruit, and he didn't want to give them that devil fruit. So he was like, "Oh no, it's a failure," and it was destroyed, like so that no one would try to take it from him. But lo and behold, Momo found it and ate it, and as we know, it did not. It wasn't a failure because he is a dragon.
Yeah.
And now Yamato knows that he's a dragon, and kind of going into this chapter, she's wishing that she had the power so she could take on her father, and help Luffy. But she's also, I guess, happy that Momo has the power, and it's just been. I can't wait for us to learn more. But the craziest thing about that chapter with the them going over that devil fruit was at the end of it when we all saw the Scourge getting back up and saying they were going to go fight, and then we saw Odin.
Yeah.
And there was so much speculation as to who this Odin was. If you look at any of the YouTubers, a lot of them have so many theories going from Katarina Devon to that fox that turned in, that was like guarding all the swords. Kanjuro obviously was one of the thoughts, and then that Tsunuki Kettle Pot from Otama's home that she was in back when she was at Luffy and them, because of the Tanuki's being able to transform and everything. And I was under the impression and the assumption that, to me, it made the most sense that it was Kanjuro. Nothing else made sense to me. It wouldn't make sense to be Katarina Devon and just kind of throwing the Blackbeard pirates in here all of a sudden. Like, why would that happen? The kettle pot was really stupid. Like, I don't know where that came from, but I was just like, that makes no sense. And like, no one else would really know what Odin truly looked like, and
his
things that Odin would say, his mannerisms. No one would know any of that except for Kanjuro. Yeah. And we knew that Kanjuro wasn't necessarily dead. Like, we saw how they left him face down bloodied after their fight, but there was no like dead body. There was no proof that he was dead.
I'm just confused after like reading 1008 because the silhouette, the Odin silhouette, wasn't that the person actually healing them up, or something? No. It was somebody else.
Someone else was healing them, and then that person left, and then they went to leave out, and as they were going to leave out, Odin, the picture of Odin, opened the door.
Yeah, okay. And it was clearly seen as Odin, and we're like, oh, Odin's coming back. But we're like, there's really no reason why we would believe that Odin's alive, because, Kaido killed him.
Yeah.
Point blank period. And then it just sounds so good that Kimon was like, oh, Odin's alive. We don't have to do this alone anymore. Our savior, our Lord has come back, and then he was the only one that was really willing to believe that Odin was alive.
No, he wasn't the only one. Nekomamushi believed it, and so did Toki. She believed it, and it was Ashura Doji that was like, everyone was believing it except for Ashura Doji, and he was like, guys, no, this is fake.
Guys, not real. Yes, I want him to be alive also, but we know he's dead.
Yep. Even though everyone else was like, no, it's Odin. Why can't you believe it's Odin? And like, come on, bro. Like, and Odin, he was like, well, I came back. Toki brought me back from the future. And they were all like, wait a minute, that's not possible. Like, Toki can only bring you back from a point. She can't go back in time. She can only move forward in time. So she can't. And Odin was dead. So she couldn't have gone back to an alive Odin and brought him to the future. So it was kind of like, we all knew, but obviously the Scabbards want and would love it if their lord, their shogun was alive. And unfortunately, with all of that, led to Ashura Doji having to fight the painting of Odin and getting stabbed through the chest, and also the bomb that was planted on him.
Yeah, and then we also get to see Jack and Orochi come back at that, which we thought Orochi could come back because every thing that I've seen with Orochi in it, whether it be this manga or books that I've listened to, Orochi's always a Hydra. In some way, it is able to grow its head back. So that was definitely an expected thing that we were thinking was going to happen. So it's cool to see that theory come to fruition.
Yeah, I was really happy with it. With this chapter, because of these things. This is such a random number for these reveals. And I was watching something earlier that was talking about these type of points where Oda has quite a few chapters, like 957 with the bounty reveals, where it's not like a number that's something spectacular like chapter 1000 that we had like this whole Straw Hat Luffy thing, but these random numbers where some cool things happen, and this is 1008, a really random number, but like we get the reveal that Kanjiro's still alive, and the fake Odin. We get, like you said, Orochi's still alive. We get Duke fighting Jack again, which kind of lets us know that it won't be Sanji fighting Jack. It will be.
That's still not unconfirmed either, but
yeah, because he was going to help them. So I could see Sanji coming in, like they'll get beat up at some point, and then Sanji come in for the win to save them.
For the win, we need a Sanji win, baby.
Sanji win big time.
He's already getting beat up once so far in this war.
It's looking rough for your boy.
But it was also cool to come to Momonosuke and see that his power is derived from Kaido's, and if he was more assured and probably older with using it, like if his son Yamato, that I was trying to think of his name, Yamato was able to use it, I feel like it would be more on the scale of Kaido, or a smaller version of it, but still more comparable than Momonosuke. I feel like he's only in that form because he's a child.
Yeah.
If he was an adult like Kaido, he'd be bigger, he'd be fiercer. He can use many of the same powers because we see like him using clouds. Kaido uses clouds as well to fly. So I could definitely see him coming to fruition. But it was also funny seeing like Luffy come back into the fray and seeing how like ready he is to go with everything.
But so everything that's happening to Luffy right now at the end of this chapter is just making me think back to Stampede, because I just watched Stampede the other day, and it was the exact same thing at the end of Stampede when he was fighting Douglas Bullet. It was like he would go after Douglas Bullet when Douglas was essentially a mountain, and he would get smacked to the earth, and then Luffy would just stand up and be like, "Let's do it again," and just go right back and get smacked right back.
I like that you're willing to take this beating. That's literally what he said. He's like, "Oh, Straw Hat, that suits me just fine." I've been to hell and back a few times.
It just looks weird because aside from Killer, but like it looks like Zoro, Law, and Kid, and Luffy on top of it, all have gotten like a little beat down in the hybrid form. And actually, Big Mom looks nuts.
They definitely have, because it's expected though. Those are two Yonkos, two of the strongest people in the series, point blank period. And they're fighting alongside each other. I would never expect for Kid, Zoro, Luffy, and Law to all be able to take down these two. Like, I would expect them to have to do that together, but I'm not going to expect them to do it by themselves. While Luffy is considered the fifth Yonko, he's not on their power level at all. He, you see how he struggled with Katakuri.
He's
also 40 years younger than them, or too. Like, it's
and he didn't get considered the fifth Yonko until after fighting Katakuri. So, but yeah, going back to Orochi, it is interesting to see him alive, and I kind of thought this may happen instead of it being two sides, it's going to be three sides, and now it looks like it's definitely going to be three sides, since Orochi's kind of like, you're going to regret making that mistake of trying to come after me and kill me, Kaido. Like, now I'm going to go after you. or whatever he's gonna do. So that's gonna be interesting. And I wonder if that's how like CP0 turns the tide there. Like if that's how they get involved since they are kind of here with Orochi technically.
Yeah, I was just
And
thinking
maybe that's how the government pieces start to get pulled come into the picture.
because Orochi met with CP0 because CP0 is like, oh, like let's help us take down Kaido, and Orochi was like, nah, dude, Kaido my boy because he's the one protecting me from everything right now, including you guys. And now he's like, well, that's Kanjuro and Orochi versus Kaido and Big Mom versus Luffy and the gang.
Yep.
And then Kaido's men, they're now turning on them because of Queen, because Queen's not a good person.
You can say that every now and then, Matt. It's
I know.
There's one panel in particular though, guys, that I'm really intrigued about. It involves Momonosuke. And it was right when he was talking about turning back into the dragon when he's scared, but he's getting a control over his devil fruit. And of course, Yamato being like, I wish I was up there with Luffy's fight. I want to have a chance to be Kaido too, being Oden. And then Momo was like, Luffy is greatly weakened, but somehow he's still fine. And they were like, wait a minute, how do you know that, Lord Momonosuke? And it was kind of like, I'm thinking about that too. Like, what is this power that Momo has? Remember, Momo could control Zunisha, and now Momo can tell what's happening with the fight when he's not even up there anywhere around it. So, like, what is Momo? Like, he's more than just what we see from him, and I really want to know what's going on.
Maybe he has like.
Yeah, I think it's like the color, like how Kobe can see like the colors in people. He might just be able to see that with Luffy because him and Luffy are the ones that can talk to like the ominous voices that are out there. Like I mean, I think for Momo, he's inherited from Odin that because Odin used to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like he has like some latent sense of observation hockey that's awakened that only a very select few have, like with, understanding the Sea Kings and whatnot. So I feel like it's on that level of understanding that he just has like an innate sense of what's going on with Luffy. And it probably will be closer to like the Will of D than anything.
Oh, do we think Momo's a D?
I could see him being a D. Like, it would make sense because he's so prevalent. Everyone that's a Will of D has some.
I mean, even Odin. I mean, it could be ODN.
Because I was like, it was not Gold
Roger. It's Gold D Roger, not Gold Roger. Yeah.
So, but Odin in the clan and their family already has a last name. It's not true.
But I like the stretch.
It's just another theory idea. Let's say that.
Not a good one, but it's one. Yeah, I'm a very, very solid chapter. I love it. I love Kaido. Like the more I look at when I first saw the Kaido's hybrid form, I was like, I'm not that impressed with it. But the more I look at it, the more I'm enjoying it every time. It's just getting more and more badass.
I mean, wait, why don't you like it? Because he only has horns, or were you expecting more from it?
I don't know. I just don't like how it looks.
I didn't, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. Like that's like.
My plus for it is the additional scales on the other side. Now he's like covered in scales. That's cool. Having the tail again covered in scales. That's cool. He has 3 sets of horns, which is just weird. And maybe his jacket also throws things off for me because you know how his jacket is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Then looking at his face is just strange too, where it's kind of like vampire teeth with that weird ass mustache, and then horns. I don't know. I don't know.
I think if the jacket wasn't there, it would look cooler, like you said.
So I feel like the jacket falls into his hair, so it makes it feels like he just has like a long mane of hair. The horns I get, and the mustache I get for sure because it's like those like that long tentacle type deal for like Asian dragons. I feel like it's following along that.
Right. Yeah, because it's a hybrid.
Yeah. And he has fangs. He's not a vampire. He has fangs because he's a beast. Like literally a beast. So that's why he has the fangs. So I mean, I like it. I feel like it suits him more being in that form than in his regular form because it gives it a reason. He also reminds me of Lucy in a way because his legs were like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's half, animal, half human. So it reminds me a lot of Lucy in a way as well. And I think that's just how.
Go ahead. Finish up.
I just feel like that's how Oda animates half beings because their legs will be bent back in an animal form, and then they'll be like a big top because he looks like any of the guys. If they had like a dragon theme to them of any of the guys, like the guards in Impale Down.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with his legs or anything. I don't know. I had a thought and I lost it.
I love Big Mom's sword, the laughing sword.
Yeah. The only thing we're missing is her hat, because unless those.
Oh no, the hat's on the sword.
Yeah, the sword is the hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Zeus and
Napoleon.
Prometheus, they look insane.
Zeus, Prometheus, and Napoleon.
They all look insane. It's a very solid chapter. I'm excited for next week's. Well, every week I'm excited whenever it comes out.
Yes. And there's not a break.
Every week of One Piece is like, oh, what am I gonna get this week? Like, I feel like I'm never gonna have a dull week of One Piece.
I don't know. It's bound to come.
I just want to know who actually healed them up now too, because it wasn't Conjuro, because Conjuro still has a hate for the Scabbers and everybody. But
I still think it's Toki.
With the long ears though.
That not ears, it could be a strand of hair. Same thing with Momo's sister that they're saying it could be. It's because of the hair.
But they're just gonna go in, heal them up, and then just dip out.
I mean, it would make sense if it was Toki. Kiori's the sister. It would make sense if it was Toki, because she could have literally showed up there, healed them, and then went forward in time some more. Whatever. Kiori, I don't know why she would heal and then disappear. But again, we'll find out. Those are still my two things. I think it's either Toki or Hiyori, and especially because Hiyori has the other sword of Odin, so we'll see.
I think it's an L. Just kidding. I don't think it's actually.
I think that would be the biggest curveball Oda's probably ever thrown.
It really would.
Yeah, he'd have to tie in back somehow, but at the same time, I'm just enjoying this journey. Yeah.
It would be all gags too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are any thoughts for what's to come outside of figuring out who healed them and them escaping and helping join the battle?
So I still think somehow Drake and Apu are gonna. Well, I don't trust Apu, but I think just like more the worst generation are gonna join the fight against Big Mom and Kaido. But that's a long running theory I've been having for a long time. But I don't think it's gonna happen, but we'll see. I do expect Drake to go up there and at least throw in a hand with Law and Kid.
I think the only other person that's going to go up there is Yamato, maybe Momo.
I don't even think Momo's going to go up there because even if he were to fight, I feel like he's not going to have enough martial prowess to contribute anything. It's not like Gohan where he's been trained and tailored for this battle. Like Momo has literally no fighting experience, and he only has his devil fruit power that he doesn't understand. So Momo's not going to be a real power in this, in my opinion, until later in the future. He's going to be like a Vivi or a Shihoshi, where he's just going to come along later and then be like an ally to Luffy. But right now, I just cannot see it.
Well, I don't have him going up there to fight. He may have in his mind have made up that he wants to fight, but I think he's more just an ally and support and a piece that would throw Kaido off. Because again, if Kaido would see Momo and see how Momo's changed again ever since the scaffold thing, and then see Momo as a dragon that was made out of Kaido, like that could start to throw in, like, on top of that, him getting the presence of Odin and whatever else needs like that's gonna spoil that way. I don't know. It won't do a lot, but I just think it'd be interesting.
I feel like it'd be more of a distraction than anything. But yes, I feel what you're talking about. Like, hey, it's gonna make Kaido pay more attention to Momonosuke than anything, which is gonna distract him enough for somebody to get a good look in.
Kid.
Kid. Gotta put that in there. Kid.
Oh yeah, I decided I'd put that in there. That's it.
Well, again, when they went back to the future, I was hoping we would have seen more out of Kid and everything else, and that is not the case. So, like, Luffy's already able to start battling again. So, come on, useless Captain Kid. I want to stop calling you that, but you gotta make me.
Gotta do some work.
Gotta do something. Well, you guys want to transition into Black Clover?
Yeah.
Black Clover seems good.
Awesome.
It's good. It's definitely we're in the setup part because
something
286 was a little. I think that's the last one we talked about.
Yeah, didn't we skip a week with Black Clover as well?
I think they skipped themselves a week because they were supposed to come out and then we had to wait. No.
Yeah, I think we missed the week they skipped was the February 28th. So we didn't get that one, which was 283. So the next one that we got was 284, which was right when at the end of it when Knot was caught by the demons. But it was also when we got to see I was gonna say Laxus.
Wow, you got to get on the right manga right there.
Oh man, no! I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. The lightning magic user from the Black Bulls.
Luck.
Yes, Luck. From Luck. Seeing his transformation and like how fast and powerful he was, because we got to see all of them return from training with the elves, and then seeing them release their powers and fight off the demons that came in and I think they were like mid-level demons that were about to beat up the people, and we got to see all of them come in and use their true power abilities and take out the demons. And then some of the really high level ones were there, and not high level but mid-level, I guess. And then Luck was like, yeah, let me go ahead and take these guys out real quick. And it was really cool to see Luck's power up.
I'm so excited to see everybody's power up. Because I mean, when the elves first got introduced, I mean, they were already overpowered anyway, but that's wondering what's the actual regular humans.
It was ultimate lightning magic, lightning battle fiend. And he looks like a fiend. He was so quick, and he took out all of those mid-level demons with ease. So that was cool. But then we saw Knot, stabbed through and wounded with ice. And after that, we saw him see how he got down there with his shadow magic, and how Jack's not dead yet and still wants to fight Dominite. And then
that's a battle.
Yeah, not sending them down to that world. And honestly, just from there kind of went into what we're looking at now with like Asta and Knot's abilities and that backstory we got with Knot and the Faust family.
That was awesome. I loved it. And it's just the story because, I mean, if you've read the chapter, which we assume you have, Knot takes over his brother's body eventually. Or does he just redress? Does he?
I think he just changed his hair because they're twins. So all he had to do was change his hair.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure of that, or if he does some sort of he just want to put his conscience in his brother's mind. I mean, we don't know that yet, but I was like, that's I'm trying to remember what the story was that did that, but I think it was.
Well, it was cool. It was cool to get the backstory on Knot in all of them, because we were all we were led on very early in chapter 285 about the brothers, because we were told a story of two brothers in the Faust family. one who looks exactly like Not does right now, and his brother, and how like Not, or how the one with the black, one has black hair, one has white hair. Now the one with the black hair was like really, it was younger and nice and friendly and wanted to do the best and became part of the Magic Knights, and was just really cool. And then we find out that that one with the black hair, his name was actually Morgan, while the older one with white hair was a delinquent and like a lot of people didn't like him, and he just didn't care for people. And his magic was darkness and shadow, while the good one's magic was light. And we find out that Morgan was the one with the black hair, and the degenerate was actually not. And like that was really interesting because the Not we know now looks like what Morgan looked like, but Morgan was actually the one with the black hair and was a friend of Yami, which it's always nice when you get to see young Nami or young Nami, young Yami.
Young Nami.
I mean, that is nice too, but
Yeah.
So that was really cool. It's just seeing that like Not was actually a degenerate, a delinquent, quote unquote badass, had white hair, and we learned that the reason that he now looks like his brother Morgan is because the family, when the family summoned Morgan or Not, he was like, no, I don't want to become the next head of the house. Give it to Morgan. And his parents were like, actually, you're best suited, and like sent him use their shadow powers, sent him to this dark room, and it was where the devil union stuff is. And they were like, we're actually a clan that works with devils and studies devils and unions with devils. And that's why we now know that Not has 4 devils of his own. And the reason that he looks like his brother is because when Morgan found out what was going on and interrupted, it was right when they were trying to get Not to try to devil union with a high-ranking demon, which I think was Lucifer, right?
Yeah.
And instead, when he went to go bond with Lucifer, he had bonded with the other 4 mid-level demons so easily that the family was like, "We think you can do this." And the moment he put on that bracelet and like for Lucifer, it killed everyone. Like everyone in the vicinity, all the family members just died immediately. And but Morgan was there to try to take the bracelet off of Not so that it wouldn't kill Not. But because of doing that, it killed Morgan, and that's why Not changed who he was or how he looked. Let me say that he still didn't care for people, but it changed how he looked.
Yeah, he just wanted to be the better image of what he thought the better image would look like.
Yep,
it was sad, very very sad. And then 287 was a very set up chapter. Let's just say that. That's the best way I think we put it. It's nice to see that he's like, oh, I hate doing this. I hate when Yami's right all the time. Like, I gotta exceed my limit. And he goes back and sees at the grave, and Yami sitting there's like, we're gonna make this, and you're gonna be my vice captain. Like, this is what you're almost pretty much what your brother wanted you to do initially, and actually carry on. And we will remember his spirit by doing this.
Yeah,
it's in the feels a little bit, but and then go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it just makes sense that Yami and Not end up together because it's like dark and shadows. So I mean, and they're the Black Bulls, so it just makes sense that they end up, joining for his brother's sake to make a stronger darkness. It's like the darkness is gonna help us see through to the light. I like I don't know, I guess the alliteration of it all, or
yeah.
Well, as Not said, I'm trying to find his exact words, but he was saying something like, "I'm gonna be evil by being even more evil."
Help me with my gamble, plunge the water. Of course, he showed us we could have seen in the underworld. Yeah.
I believe
Think-
not.
But yeah, it was cool to see him double union with two devils at the same time. Granted,
That was cool. I
that
love
did
that.
absolutely nothing, but
Yeah, they're able to freeze everything and then
and
burn
burn
everything to
everything.
ashes. Yeah.
Freeze and burn at the same time, but I guess that's what the disappointment of like the chapter is, because it's not because like leading up was really hype, and then all of a sudden the Devils are like, we're just really that much stronger than you. They just cancel everything out,
Mhm.
and then actually like I can't wait to see it animated. I know it's gonna be a while before we can see this fight animated, but like seeing the fight and just seeing not like just in utter pain, actually just seeing them struggle just to fight these demons, and all of a sudden, who who behold, who behold it just shows up out of the bloom, out of nowhere, with no explanation yet.
Of course it's Ashta. Of course it's gonna like lead to like the anti-magic, being the solution. Ashta's able to cut off it looks like the female's arm. And it's like,
Right
oh,
when
my
she was
arm was
about to kill
severed.
Not.
Yep. He's like, what do you think you're doing to our vice captain? He's like, anti-magic. Of course, that's the solution to all of it.
Everything wrong in this world is solved by the anti-magic. How do we stop this very powerful magic user? Anti-magic.
No, I think
little
it's the male demon, the fire demon that he cut the arm off of. Or devil, it's not demon. That's also pretty cool though. And it makes me wonder though if it wasn't the two that could burn and freeze everything, if not magic would have worked. Like with someone else's power, still would have been able to burn something that doesn't exist and freeze something that doesn't exist.
Because isn't that what they explained? Like that's how they turn.
Like that's how they got out, because they could burn and freeze things that aren't even there.
Which is stupid overpowered.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, they said that his magic wasn't even invoked yet. It was just like the thought of his magic. Some like unconceived thoughts were able to be like destroyed before they even became physical.
And he was so upset that he tried to do this crazy ability that would have like sacrificed his life, and the whole time these two devils weren't even using their true abilities. They were just playing around, just like toying with him.
I haven't even shown my final form. This is not even my final form.
It's wild. Like it's just like these two devils remind me of as you guys know, I'm reading Promised Neverland right now. You guys kind of finished that, but It reminds me of that one demon in Promised Neverland in Goldie Pond. And again, spoiler alert for those who haven't read Promised Neverland or are watching. Before you continue any further, if you haven't read, think like.
Yeah, you gotta read it because Goldie Pond's not a part of the anime apparently.
Not part of the anime, which is absolute madness.
It's insane.
That's not part of the anime. We will write about this another time, but that's.
But yeah, it just reminds me of that demon.
Yeah.
And I think that was like really cool. I'm starting to see parallels here, but yeah, Asta to the rescue once again. As we know, his double union doesn't last for long, so I'm interested to see what he can do before this is over.
Time's on the clock. Yeah. No, I'm excited for the next. It's a good setup chapter. That's what it is. It's nice information about Not does some cool badass things, but the demons are just more badass.
Yeah, this is a setup for Asta's fight with the demon or with the devils, and it's gonna be good. And I mean, since they have such an an oppressive magic power that absorbs other people's magic or stops it completely, I mean, his is the only solution that you have, other than Yami to cut a dimension between them. So it definitely be interesting to see how he combats it and tries to deal with he's probably gonna have to increase his speed and strength, but it's definitely gonna be they're gonna be overpowered for the majority of it, and then he's gonna find some way to use his anti-magic to defeat them in the end, but we'll see how it goes.
We shall see.
Well, last but certainly not least,
My hero.
good old My Hero. We last left off here with the Todorokis talking in the hospital about Dabi, or I almost said Toga. Was Toga's name? Yeah.
Yeah, Toga.
And of course, Hawks and Best Genius coming in and wanting to talk more, learn about All for One, and One for All, and what that meant. And that led us to
Deku's mind.
Yeah, that led us
Why
to
is Deku in bed for so long?
Mm-hmm. Deku's mindscape with the predecessors of the One for All quirk. We learn that the One for All quirk is kind of like I thought before, designed only for those who are quirkless. We find out that like there was one predecessor who had it the longest outside of All Might, and the reason he died was essentially because of the quirk. It's just not designed for those who already have a quirk to use. It starts to deteriorate their body essentially, and so with All Might having been quirkless, he was able to keep it for what was it, 40 years, which is crazy long, and then passed it to Deku, who now has it. And we know Deku was quirkless, so he's going to be just fine wielding this power and this ability. And he talks with Nana, he talks with the First, and he talks with the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Seventh as well. In All Might's the Eighth, and it was just learning more about it and what its purpose is and how he can unlock it, and finding out that he's not fully unlocked because the second and third predecessors don't want to give him their power. They don't have faith in him currently. They want to make sure that he can take out Shigaraki if it really came down to it. Like Nana really tested him. It was really interesting, the conversations that they were having with him in his mind space.
It's just, it's definitely like a philosophical debate whether to do this for the sake of good and everything. Of course, Deku comes up, typical shonen, he comes up with the correct answer to gain the power and trust of the other. Of course, there would be no other way. Of course he's gonna do it. This is the story of he became the greatest hero of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want like a little tease, like he's like at least a little dilemma inside Deku, but that's fine.
There probably was, but I feel like with the urgency that everything has happened, especially with the war, he hasn't had time to like really, sulk about his own situation. So he's been thrown into it, and then he hasn't had any choice because of the speed in which everything has happened. Because even after the war, this chapter gets into like essentially what's been going on with the war and how the heroes and the students have been essentially acclimating to the situation.
Granted, it's been 5 days.
Yeah, but so much shit's happened in 5 days, like that most of the population has pretty much rejected the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the heroes have retired and like just thrown in the towel for it.
Which was Stain's whole point. Stain said this a long time ago. A lot of people don't deserve to be heroes. They aren't true heroes. And this right now was showing that Stain was right.
Yeah, it really is. It's showing that like
Stain's he is such an undervalued villain. They beat him way too easily for how ultimately, ultimate evil Stain was.
Honestly, Stain did not deserve to be taken down by 3 students. Honestly, if we're being honest, he was more powerful than those 3 students could have managed. They just got lucky.
Yep.
They got lucky, and he's already killed 5 or 6 heroes before they even got to him. But that's
I feel like Stain would have got to the point of wasn't it Goro from One Punch Man, where he was actually to the degree of the heroes, but he just got overpowered. He was tired at the time, and he just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But otherwise, Stain would still be a problem. If anyone hero,
Stain is free. Remember, Stain also broke out, so now we can is he gonna try to take out villains? Because he's not really a villain. He's more of an antagonist. He's a villain because he is killing heroes.
Yeah,
But his
he's
purpose
just
is to make
anti-hero.
perfect
Like
heroes. Yeah, unless you
he
deserve to be a hero, you can't get to play hero.
and the only one that he felt deserved to be a hero was All Might because he was.
I think he also acknowledged Midoriya and them during their fight.
Hmm.
Just not Ida. He didn't acknowledge Ida. He was like, no.
He's like, you don't deserve this.
Just like your brother, I'm taking you out too. You don't deserve this. Oh, sorry, that reminds me. Those of you listening, if you saw what the second and third predecessors looked like, or at least the back of their heads, and we haven't seen their faces or anything yet, I am strongly in the belief that one of them is the predecessor of Bakugo, and the other is a predecessor of Ida, just based off of it looking like one of them has engines in his shoulder, and the other one kind of just having Bakugo's hairstyle, it seems. So I'll be really interested to learn if that is the true case. And obviously, we learned that with the 5 days of everything going on, the non-hero but adults are using weapons to try to fight villains. Villains are obviously attacking because they just got out of prison, and they can kind of do what they want because they know that the hero society is kind of done for. They are now trying to evacuate all citizens into the different universities and hero schools, and a lot of the adults and people are just like, why would I do this? You guys suck. I'm not gonna put my life in your hands. I'm gonna have it in my own hands. And with that, and with Midoriya waking up, Deku waking up, and I guess learning more about what happened and how Shigaraki and All For One are going to come for him, he left UA and left a note for all of his classmates saying that he's going to be hunted, so he's leaving. And we just see like a really
everybody being sad.
Mhm.
Just like it's like, oh, but he's our friend. He's my friend. I want my friend back.
It's the classic, like, oh, my friend's gonna be like the hero and go out by himself, but he actually needs our help to fight him. But it's showing that Midoriya is definitely capable of holding his own, and then that he's learning how to use his other powers, which I feel like has definitely been a needed thing. And if there's going to be a time skip, or any kind of passage of time without him being around the others, I would definitely love to have him automatically know how to use all of his other powers. So
just like skip the training phase of like the black whips and stuff like that.
Yes, I'm totally down for them doing like a small, like 6-month time skip where he just learns how to use all of his powers because he's just been out on his own. Because it shows it, like he was able to sense that, Quake guy was in trouble because of one of his powers.
Danger sense. That was cool.
Well, we knew he had danger sense when he was in the war because he mentioned using danger sense, but I guess he's like learned even more about the ability, and yeah, like that's how he saved Yo from Muscular,
which is also really cool to see him come back and see that he's still a devastating character. Like, honestly, I feel like Midoriya he probably wouldn't have beat him if it wasn't for his, unyielding courage of that little kid that's like, oh, I have to protect him. Even though this guy's getting more powerful and more powerful, I need to protect him. So that was his way of like encouragement or, leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
With all the villains escaping jail, I just hope Deku doesn't have to go through like a boss rush before he goes for All For One. Like go through like a Stain again and just he has to beat the old villains he's already beaten up.
Oh, I could see that happening.
I could see it happening, but I could see it more of being a reason to show like, hey, Deku has like a mastery of all his skills before he fights Shigaraki again, than it being like, hey, he has to go through this again just to go through it again. It's going to be a way to show off his new powers.
Yeah.
Because he still has 2 powers that we don't know about, which one of them may be boost, like Itador or Ida.
Yeah. Maybe
So
that's how he got there so fast to save the guy. I mean, he really did come out of nowhere since. I mean, he did say like, "Oh, danger sense." That's why the fourth one shut up, which I thought was funny. He's like, "Oh yeah, the fourth."
and maybe he develops like a running dialogue with each of those powers and each of those past lives. So
Yeah,
I could see that being a thing as well. As like
like
he's
he can
always
actually,
able to
yeah,
talk to them, which is really cool in my opinion as well.
talk to all the predecessors and actually have a good conversation and like
Yeah,
just ask
they're
advice
always giving him
that
counsel.
they've gained over the years.
Also, if you look at the last panel for 306, it's Deku looking off in the distance and hearing a crash and saying a giant villain, which is probably his danger sense, and most likely the villain, which is muscular. So we're kind of seeing 306 the end, Deku seeing what we then get to see happen here in 307. Like if you go back and look
Okay,
at that
yeah.
last page, that I think that's what that was. Was
Mm-hmm.
Deku seeing what's going on and then jumping from the top of that tower. Most likely, I don't think he's using Ida's if it is the Ida's family's speed boost, because you already know Deku is really fast. Like he doesn't really
Yeah,
need
just
that.
because of super strength, he's
Yeah,
fast.
he can just jump off his legs and just be there instantly. So
But also, it's showing that Deku is, I feel like, being more in a hero role here because he's wearing his mask fully. Because we never, ever, ever see him wearing his mask. Like we see him wear it once, but it's never like a important part of his costume. But now he's like saving another hero at that, and then wearing that mask.
I think he's like trying to protect his face also because if any villain knows that they're looking for him, like because
yeah.
all the jailbreakers, did the League of Villains tell him like, oh, if you see this one dude, let us know and we're gonna go. But they just really release him from jail just so they can cause more chaos and hide away.
I mean, he knows that voice, so
But
I I feel you though. Like he's trying to protect his, I guess, identity. So, but there is really no need to protect his identity because everyone knows him. And if Shigaraki has put out an order for like, hey, if you see him, let me know. But
well,
honestly, I feel like his costume's so iconic at this point that I feel like, and he knows his voice, that he knows who it is. So it's going to be a big battle between him and Muscles.
well, Deku, another thing, I can see where Matt's coming from. Like you can't hide your voice. Obviously, he can't protect himself from speaking and changing his voice, but he can hide his face, and that's going to at least have a reduction in the amount of people that can tell who you are. The only issue with any of this is that Shigaraki has a quirk that he took from one of the cat that the little cat people who trained the students that allows him to track anyone. So though
Mm-hmm.
Deku can hide his face, if he's hiding it because of the villains in Shigaraki, they can still find him. They have that location quirk in Shigaraki and probably in One for All or All for One that can find him like with the snap of a finger. So him using a mask doesn't protect him from that quirk's ability.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if you guys can hear the rain. I'm out. Currently recording outside because this is the strongest signal I can find in the house without bothering the person I live with.
It's all good.
So, if you guys can hear it, but if you hear like rain noise, it is me. Cool, but I think that'd be actually a really good way to end it before the rain gets too loud or it's bothering me. So that's
Yeah,
any
that
final
works.
thoughts, guys?
Just ready to see what happens next with Deku. I think he's gonna one shot Muscular, or as we're calling him now, Jailbreaker. I think he's gonna take him out quickly and then go run off again and hide.
Yeah.
Excited mostly to see what happens next. Obviously in One Piece, since it looks like we ended back on the roof, so probably gonna go back to some of the Kaido, Big Mom, Luffy, and the Supernova stuff. And want to see what Asta can do in Demon Slayer. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like Deku. I feel like we're gonna find out more about what Deku has actually been doing and it might give us a little insight into like a slight time skip. So I'm really excited for that, and hopefully he'll have some more mastery of those other powers. So I'll be definitely interested to see that. One Piece is always a gem. No matter what week it is, I feel like One Piece is always going to be a gem for me. And then, always excited to see what Asta has to bring to the table. Um, is that I feel like it's either going to focus on Asta exclusively next week, or we're going to take another look at and see what his spirit has unlocked for us this week. But I like
with the cover page.
It's a coin toss of whether Black Clover is going to focus on Asta or it's going to focus on
With the cover page having shown both Asta and side by side, I do think that's a good point. It showed both of them. We saw what Asta's been able to do the last couple chapters, so I think it would be cool if they just went back to really quick. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're building it up like they're going to focus on Asta, and then they're going to flip to because we haven't seen him in like a chapter or two. So
they're just going to get away from the Devils and Asta and not for a while. That's what I hope, at least, just to see what everybody else is doing. Like when we were talking about, like when One Piece was solely based on the rooftop fight for the longest time, like what's happening down below. I think that's what they're going to do, at least for Black Clover. One Piece, I just want to see what my boy Sanji, I kind of want to see what the Robin and Brooke fight, also against Black Maria.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna have to wait at least 2 chapters on that, Matt, for any sign of Sanji.
Yeah,
because he especially with how Oda's style is, he just brought it back to Luffy and the other, so he's gonna be up there for at least a chapter or two and then bring it back down. So, but I will be excited to see where Sanji ends up. If he ends up, with everyone, the Scabbards, and fighting Jack and helping out with that would be cool to see. So, but I don't foresee it happening in the next chapter. I feel like it's going to be at least 2 or 3 chapters before we see anything about it.
Yeah. Nope. But all the time, anytime they all come out, I'm always excited.
Yes.
Well, once again, guys, thank you all for everyone who's been listening in. We always appreciate the support you guys give. Please tell your friends about us, tell your family about us. Follow us on Instagram at the Monster Trio Podcast. Email us at monstertriopodcast@gmail.com with any feedback, anything that you guys would like to see in the upcoming episodes and podcasts. We also are now live on Twitter, right, Tawan?
Yes, we are live on Twitter at Mon Trio Podcast. So that's our @ name. Or if you just search the Monster Trio Podcast, you'll still pull us up. We're going to start having, podcast information. We're also going to have trivia information as well as, just tallies and
just
regular
be prepared. Just be prepared. Check out the channel. Check out the Twitter page, and just give it a follow for updates that are going to come. And just look out for what's coming. And then of course, Matt's also working on getting a YouTube channel nice and going as well.
Yep. Awesome. Sweet.
Well, in the meantime, guys, once again, we appreciate all of you being loyal followers, loyal listeners. Give us the feedback. We really appreciate it. We want to make sure that this podcast is as great as possible for you all, the listeners. Though we enjoy making our discussions and hanging out as 3 great friends, we also want to make sure that we're giving you guys the best that we can and talking about things you want to hear and speaking in the best way possible. So give us your support. Follow us, and everything that you do and contribute to us helps us make these things better for you. So we really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right.
Peace.
Stay frosty, my friends.